I just built an AI system that can automatically create monetizable TikToks in any niche, completely on autopilot. The best part? It uses the free FFmpeg tool and doesn't require a single line of code. Lately, I've stumbled upon a bunch of TikTok channels and short videos that are absolutely crushing it. Check this out. One video has racked up 31 million views, another has 25 million, and another one has 16,000. They've already scored a whopping 4.4 million likes, and they don't even have that many videos. This really highlights the entertainment value that exists, even when people are aware it's AI. And guess what? All of this can be automated using N8N. Sounds intriguing, right? Let's dive into N8N, and I'll show you how to create this magic. So anyone can do it, even if you're a complete beginner and have never worked with anything technical before, because all you literally just need to know is how to drag and drop things, and you can learn this from scratch. And learning about AI automation is also one of the best uses of your time given the demand for it, which you can clearly see if you just type it over in Google Trends. So invest the next few minutes or so learning about AI today. And watch till the end, because this might just be one of the most essential skills that you will ever learn. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Ralph, and my mission is simple: to make AI easy to learn for anyone, whether you've got a tech background or not. To make things even easier, I've put together all the resources, prompts, and tools you'll need on one handy page inside our community. There's a special highlight for the blueprint file, which you can download and import straight into the no-code tool we're using. It sets up the entire workflow for you, no finger lifting required. Now, if you're not part of the community yet, check out the link in the video description. Inside, you'll find tons of lessons on AI and automation, each paired with its own plug-and-play blueprint you can upload to your tool of choice. Plus, we've got a growing network of AI enthusiasts and professionals who share paid gigs, collab opportunities, and bonus lessons. Some from me, some from other awesome members. So if you're looking to join a supportive AI community, follow step-by-step tutorials, and get your hands on ready-to-use automation blueprints, hit that link and dive into the RoboJoule community. All right, let's get into it. The framework we're setting up is actually super straightforward, and it's already clearly laid out in the workflow you're looking at. It's a multi-step process that starts with a simple input, your initial idea. From there, it flows through a series of steps, generating prompts, images, videos, and sounds, until you've got a fully finished video at the end. Now, I know it might look a bit intimidating at first glance, but here's the good news. It's way simpler than it seems. Many of the nodes in this workflow are really similar, so later on, we'll be duplicating them to speed things up and keep it super manageable. For this tutorial, we'll be using a tool called N8N. If you click the link I've provided, it'll take you straight to their website where you can grab a free trial. If you haven't heard of N8N before, it's a node-based automation platform, kind of like Zapier or Make.com. But here's the kicker. If you check out Google Trends, N8N has been skyrocketing in popularity, even surpassing those other platforms. Why? Because it's incredibly flexible and works really well with today's AI tools. So yeah, this is the perfect time to get familiar with it. Once you're signed up and inside your N8N dashboard, just click Create Workflow in the top right corner. Give it a name you'll recognize, and you're all set to start building. All right, let's kick things off by setting up the first part of our workflow, scheduling and generating an idea. Start by clicking the plus button in your N8N editor and search for Schedule. Once you see it pop up, click on it. This node lets you decide how often your workflow should run. For this setup, we'll set it to trigger once a day at midnight, so every night it'll automatically start generating a new video. Next, we need a model to generate our idea. So hit that plus button again, start typing OpenAI, and then select Message a Model. This is the node that'll send a prompt to OpenAI and return a fresh creative video concept for us to use. And just like that, we've got the start of our automated content machine. Once you click into that OpenAI node, you'll start to see N8N's core design pattern in action. If you're new to N8N, this is a good moment to zoom out and understand how it works. Every node in N8N follows a pretty consistent structure. First, there's the input section. This holds all the data flowing in from the previous nodes. Basically, whatever gets passed down the line ends up here. Then you've got the green configuration area. This is where you tell the node what to do with that input. Each node's config will look a bit different depending on its function, but the principle stays the same. Finally, there's the output section, where the result gets passed along to the next step in your workflow. So if we zoom back into the workflow we're building, you'll notice that same design repeating throughout. And yep, you can resize the nodes if that helps keep things tidy. Now let's go ahead and rename the OpenAI node to something like Create New Idea. It's a small step, but super helpful for keeping your workflow organized, especially when you come back to tweak or expand it later. Alright, the first step is to set up your credentials. This is how you'll connect to OpenAI services. Go ahead and click on that option, and you'll see it's asking for an API key. To get that, just head over to our community page. We've got a link there. When you open it, it'll take you to OpenAI's automation platform, where you can generate a new secret key. Copy that key, paste it back here, and hit Save. Next up, let's configure the node itself. Start by selecting a model. At the time of this recording, GPT 4.1 is your best bet, so let's go with that. Now this box here is where you'll enter your prompt for ChatGPT. We've actually prepared one for you. Again, just hop back to the community page, copy the pre-written prompt and paste it in. But before you do, make sure to change the input type to expression. That way you'll also be able to preview what it's going to send. I won't walk through the entire prompt, but basically, it's a set of instructions telling the model exactly what kind of output we want. Finally, scroll down and double-check a couple of settings. You want Simplify Output toggled on, and Output as JSON selected. JSON, short for JavaScript Object Notation, is just a standard format most third-party services, including OpenAI, use to process data, and that's it for the setup. If you click on Test Step there, you'll see the schedule trigger ran on the left as its input. As the output of this node, it gave us the idea title, exactly what we want, along with a description of the idea and an environment prompt. That prompt is key because it helps keep all the clips we generate consistent. So that part's looking good. And if you check out our ending workflow, you'll see the input section is already complete. Alright, so now we're going to generate the prompts and the images for step 1 and step 2. To do that, go ahead and extend the workflow and find a Google Sheets node, specifically the Append Row and Sheet action. You'll notice it works the same way as before. Inputs come in from the previous node on the left, and now you'll just need to configure your Google Sheets setup in the middle. When you open this in N8N, your setup might look a little different. In most cases, it's even easier. You'll just click on Authenticate with Google, which is already built in. Now in my case, I'm self-hosting the N8N instance. And if you're doing the same and need to set up authentication, I've got you covered. There's another video linked right here that walks you through getting the client ID and client secret. Once that's all set up, just hit Save, and we'll take it from there. Alright, to set this up, first select the document from the list, and then choose the sheet. It's just Sheet 1 in this case. If you take a look at the spreadsheet, this is the document and sheet we're working with, and it's already prepped and ready to go. To make things easier, I've added it to the school community. Just head over to Resources, click the link there, and it'll take you straight to the Google Sheet. From there, click on File, then make a copy, and you'll be able to edit it however you like. Then, if you scroll down, it should automatically detect the columns from your template. You'll see the node is now asking for the values to send to the Google Sheet. So here's the simple part. We're just going to map our data. Grab the idea attribute and drop it in. Pull in the title for our caption, and the environment value goes right here. You'll notice it's dynamically filling in with a little code snippet and a preview, so you can see what's coming through. Now, to wrap it up, under the production column, just enter production to mark that this idea is ready to be turned into a video. For the ID field, I usually use a basic Excel formula, equals ROW minus 1. That gives each row a simple numeric ID we can use to track the ideas. Once that's all in place, click on Test Step and you should see it run successfully. Head back to the template, and there it is. Your ideas and captions are now live in the Google Sheet, and the Excel formula has converted correctly into a proper number. And just one last thing. Be sure to rename this node to something like log idea so it's clear what it's doing. So now, the next step is to take those ideas from our Google Sheet and generate detailed image prompts. The goal here is to make the prompts descriptive enough so the images come out exactly how we envision them. To get started, just copy this node using Ctrl+C and paste it in. This keeps things simple. Then, attach it to the workflow and rename it to something like Generate Prompts. The great thing is, all your credentials and settings carry over automatically. The only part you need to change is the prompt section. To make it easy, just head back to our community page. There's a block of text you can copy and paste directly into the prompt field. Be sure to paste it as an expression. Now, yes, it's a lot of text, but all it's doing is giving clear instructions to the language model, in this case GPT 4.1, about what we want. It even defines the format we're aiming for. You'll see it specifies 13 scenes, each 5 seconds long, so that adds up to 65 seconds. Perfect, since we want our videos to be at least a minute long. Also, you might notice some green highlighted text. That's showing dynamic values being mapped in from earlier nodes. For example, the idea is coming from our Create New Idea node, and the environment prompt is pulled in from there too. And here's a little tip. Make sure your node names are accurate. If you renamed Create New Idea to something like Create New Idea 2, the references might break, and the workflow won't know where to pull the data from. If that happens, no worries. Just delete the broken reference. Reselect the correct node from the drop-down, and drag the value back in. It'll dynamically map just fine. Once everything looks good, go ahead and click Test Step. Just a heads up. It might take a bit to run, since it's generating 13 scenes. Now if you head over to the schema, you'll see we've got 13 unique scenes, all nicely structured and ready to be sent to our image model for generation. The final step in this part is just organizing that output so N8N can actually use it. I'll explain the why in a bit, but here's the how. Find a code node and rename it to something like Tidy Up Prompts. Inside that node, delete the default placeholder code. Then hop over to our community page, grab the snippet provided, and paste it in. Now when you click Test Step, you'll see that it unbundles the prompts. Originally, they existed as one big item in N8N, but now we've split them into 13 separate items. This step is super important because from here on out, each of these will be processed one at a time, for image generation, then for video generation, and eventually, we'll merge them all back together. And that's it. Step 1 is complete. Be sure to save your workflow. For some reason, N8N still doesn't autosave, so don't skip that step. And if you want to save some processing power, just select all the nodes you've worked on, right-click, and choose Pin. They'll turn purple, meaning the data is now cached. So next time you open the workflow, you won't have to regenerate the prompts again. All right, it's image generation time. Start by extending your workflow and adding a new row. What you're looking for now is the HTTP request node, easily one of the most powerful tools in N8N. Go ahead and rename it to something like Create Images. This node is perfect for calling third-party services, and in this case, that service is going to be an image generation API. Since we're sending data out, change the method to post, like posting a letter. You're sending a request out and expecting something back. For the URL, we'll be using a service called FAL.ai. If you haven't heard of it, FAL is a platform designed for automators like us. Think of it like Uber Eats, but instead of restaurants, it gives you access to tons of models. You just pick what you want from their model gallery, send your request, and boom, image delivered. It's especially handy because they keep their model lineup fresh and updated. Over 200 models at your fingertips, which is rare in this space. To get started, head to their website and set up an account. Once that's done, we'll be using a URL from the community page under the Create Image section. Just copy that and paste it into the URL field in your node. With that, your image request node is almost good to go. To make things even easier, I've already set up the actual URLs for you in our school community. If you're looking to save on cost, you can go with the Schnell model. It's more affordable and still gets the job done. If you want higher quality, there's also a Pro model. But for now, let's stick with Schnell to keep things budget-friendly. Just head over to the community page, copy the Schnell URL, and paste it right into the URL section of your HTTP request node. Alright? The last step to get this node up and running is setting up authentication. Now, what I like to do, especially if we want to reuse this authentication in other nodes, is create a credential we can store and access later. So head over to the Credentials section and click on Generic Credential Type. Under that, choose Header Auth, then click Create New Credential. You'll see two fields, Name and Value. In the Name field, type Authorization. Make sure the spelling is exact, with a capital A. That part's important. Next, go back to File. Head to API Keys and create a new key. Copy that key, and in the Value field, paste it like this. Type the word key with a capital K, add a space, and then paste in your actual key. It should look like this. And that's it. Your node is now ready to authenticate like a pro. Just to double check that everything's set up correctly, head back over to FAL and open the documentation section. From there, click on API, and you'll see exactly how the authorization should look. It's important to note. It should say authorization as the header, and the value must be in this exact format. Key with a capital K followed by a space, and then your actual API key. Make sure you paste that whole string into N8N, exactly as shown. That's the key, pun intended, to making it work properly. Alright, the final setup step here is to toggle Send Body As to ON. Then, under Other Body Content Type, switch it to RAW. This gives us more flexibility. In the field that appears, type application/JSON, making sure you get the capitalization and spacing just right. Next, under Body, go back to our community page, copy the relevant content, switch the body type to expression and paste that in. If you expand it, you'll see it's a pretty simple structure. It's just requesting an image in portrait format based on the prompt we generated earlier. Now, a smart but optional step is to add batching under the Options tab. For example, if you set the batch size to 1 and the batch interval to 2000 milliseconds, it'll send your 13 prompts one at a time every 2 seconds. This helps avoid triggering spam filters on the third-party tool you're calling. Sending them all at once can sometimes raise red flags. Once that's done, click on Test Step. A great way to see how it's working is to follow the URL under Generate Images. That'll take you to FalAI's model page for this specific model, which is also a great place to get a deeper understanding of how it operates. Now, if you look under the Requests tab, you should see 13 requests going through, one for each prompt, and you'll notice the generated images look pretty solid and came through fast. If you hit any errors here, the most likely culprit is running out of balance. Just head over to Dashboard/Billing and top up. The good news is, the models we're using are super affordable. For example, the Flux Chanel model only costs about 0.003 cents per request. Fal has some of the most budget-friendly pricing out there right now. And if you're not 100% happy with the results, you can always upgrade to a more powerful model. In the model page, look for Flux Pro. It's a step up in quality, though it comes at a slightly higher cost. You'll notice in N8N that the output from the Create Images node shows the status as in queue. That means the images are still being processed, so the next step is to fetch those images once they're ready. To do that, click the plus icon and add a wait node. We'll fine-tune this later, but for now, just set it to 1 second and hit Test Step. When you're finalizing the workflow, you'll want to increase that to something like 3 minutes to give the model enough time to generate all the images, since each one can take around 10 seconds to complete. Now that we're assuming the images have already been generated, we can go ahead and move forward. To actually pull those images into N8N, just add another HTTP request node. You can make this super easy by duplicating the previous one. Just use Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to copy it over. Alright, for this new HTTP request node, go ahead and change the method from post to get, since we're getting data from fal. Next, disable sendBody because we're not sending any data in this request. For the URL, head back to our community page. Since we're using the Schnell model, copy the corresponding request URL. If you were using the Pro model, you'd grab that one instead. Paste the model URL into the URL field. Then, pull in the ID from the wait node and drop it into the appropriate spot in the URL. We won't be needing batching here, so go ahead and turn that off. Now just hit test step and you're all set. As you can see, we've got 13 items returned, which means all 13 images have been successfully generated. If you take any of the URLs from the output and paste it into a browser, you'll see the image has been created and is ready to view. Pretty cool, right? Also, don't forget to pin all of those nodes. Just hold Shift, select each one, and press P. When they turn violet, you'll know they're pinned. That helps keep things tidy and makes it easier to see which step does what. Now, if you take a look at my workflow, the next step is to turn those images into videos. We do this because models typically perform much better when they're animating an image rather than trying to generate a video from just text. It's more accurate and a lot easier on the model. So the next node you'll want to add is another OpenAI node, but this time we'll use the Analyze Image action. Once you open that up, your credential should already be set. Go ahead and rename the node to something like Create Video Prompts so it's easier to follow. What this node does is pretty clever. It takes the image, analyzes it, and then generates a prompt for a video based on what it sees. From the model dropdown, select the latest GPT-4 model. Let's go with GPT-4 Turbo or ChatGPT-4 Latest, depending on what's available. Then, for the text input, copy the section labeled Video Prompts from our community page, switch the input to expression, and paste it in. If you expand it, you'll notice it's essentially a structured set of instructions that guides the AI on how to generate a high-quality, relevant video prompt. If you run into an issue where things aren't connecting properly, it's often just a naming mismatch. Scroll down and check your node names. Like here, you'll notice one name uses no spaces, while another includes spaces. That mismatch can break the data flow. Just fix the spacing so they match exactly. Once you do that, the node should turn green, and you'll see it start pulling in the correct values. Problem solved. The last setup step here is to take the URL from your Get Images node and drag it into this field. This is how we'll feed the images into the model. Then, under Options, change the detail setting from Auto to High. You can tweak this later if you want to use fewer tokens, but for now, High gives the best results. Once that's set, click on Test Step. When it's done processing, you should see 13 items in the table view. Each one is a video animation prompt that perfectly matches the image it came from. Pretty awesome, right? Now we're calling on Fal AI again. Think of it like our Uber Eats. But this time, instead of delivering to the same restaurant, we're placing an order with a new one, another AI model. In this case, that model is called Kling. The easiest way to set this up is to just copy the last 3 nodes, hit Ctrl+C, then Ctrl+V, and connect the previous node to this new set. Go ahead and arrange them so everything's neat and connected. Then open each node one by one to configure them. Start by renaming the first node to something like Create Video, so it's clear what it's doing in your workflow. Alright, I've tidied up the workspace and organized the nodes so everything looks a bit cleaner. Now let's get started with the first one, Create Video. We'll set this up to call Fal and actually generate our videos. We're keeping the method as post since we're sending a request to another model, and that goes right here in the URL. If we jump back to our course page, you'll see we're using Kling, an image-to-video model. There are 2 options available. One is the standard version, which is solid and more budget-friendly. But for this example, just to show off what it can really do, I'm going with the Pro version. It's a bit pricier, but at the time of this recording, it's the top-tier option. So I'll copy that URL, paste it in, and keep the authentication as is. The only thing we need to tweak now is the body of the request. I'll grab that from the Create Video section of the community page and drop it in here. When we open it up, you'll see it's passing a prompt that's coming from the images we just generated and a few other settings. duration in seconds, aspect ratio, a negative prompt to guide what not to include, and a CFG scale. That scale controls how closely the video sticks to your prompt. 0.5 is the default, but feel free to play around with it. As for batching, we're good to leave it as is. This setup sends out a new request every 2 seconds. Now, when we hit test step, it's going to send all 13 inputs, animating each image one at a time. Once that's done, you'll see 13 items queued up in File AI servers, which is perfect. That means we're ready to move on to the wait node. For this step, we can leave the delay at 1 second. Just go ahead and click Test Step so you can keep building out the workflow. After that processes, we move on to the Get Value step. Though we're going to rename this to Get Video, we also need to update the URL. Right now, it's still pointing to Flux, but since we're using Kling Pro, we'll replace that with the Kling Pro request URL. Make sure the request ID is being pulled from the previous wait node. It should be auto-filled, but if it's not, just drag in the request ID from the latest wait node. Once that's all set, hit Test Step and you're good to go. I paused the video for a bit since this part can take some time, roughly 4 minutes per video. The good news is they run in parallel, so you don't have to wait an hour for everything to finish. While that's happening, if you want to check the progress, head back to the Kling page, click on Requests, and you'll see them being generated in real time. For example, this one here took about 4 minutes. You can also hover over each request to get a quick preview. They'll start playing right there. Alright, now that they're all done, we can go back and grab one of the URLs. Just copy it, open a new tab, paste it in, and you'll be able to view the completed video. And that wraps up your Generate Video step. Go ahead and pin the data so it's easy to come back to later if needed. Once that's cleaned up, we're ready to move on to the next phase, adding sound. Now that you've got your video, it's time to overlay some audio so we end up with a fully formed clip. We'll set that up right here. Start by creating another message model. You can just copy the last one, paste it in, and connect it to the final node you've built so far. Next, rename it to something like Sound Prompts, since this will be generating prompts for the audio layer. Most of the settings can stay the same, but make sure to change the output format. Toggle off Output Content as JSON, because this time we're generating plain text, not structured data. Also, be sure to update the prompt field. That old prompt was from a previous step. Head back to the course page, copy the sound prompt provided there, and paste it in. This new prompt gives the model a basic understanding of what to do. Generate sound ideas. It'll be fed specific info per image, like the environment, photo idea, and video theme. So each of the 13 clips gets a sound that matches its vibe. If you run into this issue where the nodes turn red like this, it usually means the names don't match up properly. Remember when we said it's important to name things clearly? Yeah. Turns out I didn't follow my own advice either. To fix it, just scroll through the relevant nodes and drag over the correct values. What we need here are the environment idea, photo idea, and video idea. Basically, the prompts used for the photo and video generation. Once those are properly linked, everything should light up green again and be ready to go. And before you click Test, don't forget to unpin the node. Once that's done, you should now have 13 items, all with freshly generated sound prompts, ready to feed into the next model. That's a good sign. Now for the next step, we'll repeat the familiar process. Copy and paste those 3 nodes, then link them into the new part of the workflow. Make sure to unpin them so you can properly set them up. This time, we're switching from creating videos to creating the sounds themselves. So go ahead and rename this new node accordingly, something like Create Sounds. Next, replace the current URL with the one for the new model, Audio v2. Just copy that link from the course page and paste it into the URL field. Most of the other settings can stay the same, but once again, we'll need to update the body section. You can delete the existing content there and replace it with the new prompt text from the course. When you open that up, you'll see it's a straightforward instruction guiding the model. It tells the system what kind of sound to generate, how long it should be, and critically, it includes the video URL. That's because Audio analyzes the video itself to generate sound effects that actually match what's happening on screen. Once everything's set up, go ahead and click Test Step. You should now see 13 new sound generation requests queued up in Faceless. Once that's submitted, you can check the status by heading over to the model's File AI page, specifically this one. From there, just click on Requests and you'll see a list of your submissions. In my case, all of them came back with a status code of 200, which means success. If you open one up, you'll also see the cost to generate it, just 0.5 cents per sound, which is super economical. That's one of the great perks of using this model. And once you've downloaded the result, you can preview it alongside the video. The combination is already looking and sounding pretty solid. Now that we know those outputs are ready, we can go ahead and finish setting up the remaining nodes. Start with the weight node. Just click Test Step so the automation can continue. Next, to retrieve the sounds, click into the next node and rename it to something like Get Sounds. Most of the settings will stay the same, except for the URL. Head back to the community page, copy the Get From URL link, and paste it in. Then, make sure to pull in the request ID from the previous weight node into this field. That ensures you're fetching the right audio files. Once that's in place, hit Test Step, and In8N will load all of those audio URLs directly from your Faceless dashboard. You can copy and paste any of those links into a browser to preview or download them, which is exactly what we need. And just like that, you now have fully completed videos with sound. Go ahead and organize everything, pin the key nodes, and you're all set for next time. Alright, next up, let's set up the code node. Just drag that in and add it to your workflow. Now the main job of this code node is to simplify things for N8N. Instead of handling 13 separate items, we're going to condense everything down into one. That's important, because to use the sequencing model effectively, it needs to run on a single item. To do this, replace the default placeholder code with the snippet you'll find on our community page under List Elements. Once you've pasted that in, click Test Step. What that does is gather all your video URLs into one neat item. Super handy, especially since the last thing we want is to call up Faceless again for something we could have handled earlier. Next, go ahead and copy those 3 nodes we used earlier, paste them in, and relink them. Then, unpin them so you can freely make any edits you need. This time, instead of generating sounds, these nodes will be used to sequence the video. We'll be sending a request to another Faceless service, so update the URL with the one shared in our community thread and paste it in. And just for context, this service uses FFmpeg, which is an open-source tool that's been around for over 25 years. It's so iconic, it's got its own Wikipedia page. Now, go ahead and change the body of the request. Just copy the code from our community page and paste it right in. Once that's in place, open it up and zoom out a bit so you can see the full pattern. It's actually pretty straightforward. The code loops through all 13 scenes, listing them one by one. It tells FFmpeg exactly which URL to fetch each clip from. If you take a look at the result that provides the video URLs, it also includes timestamps. Each clip starts in 5-second increments, and each one runs for exactly 5 seconds. Once you're ready, hit Test Step. After that, you'll see that our request is now in the queue. Alright, let's keep the workflow going. Click Test Step on the next wait node, and this will move us forward to retrieving the final video. Click on that node, rename it to something like Get Final Video, and then copy the URL from our course page and paste it into the node. After that, drag in the request ID to the end of that URL. Once that's set, hit Test Step again. When it's done, you'll get a video URL that you can copy and open in any browser window. That'll let you download and preview your full video. And there you have it, a 1-minute video ready to post on TikTok. Go ahead and turn on monetization while you're at it. To wrap things up, just make sure to log that video URL into your Google Sheet so you can keep track of all your outputs. Alright, don't forget to pin these nodes to keep things tidy. Now let's log everything back into the Google Sheet. The easiest way? Just copy the existing sheet node we've been using. Open it up. Most of the setup stays the same, but we'll tweak a few things. First, we're logging the idea, not the ID. So go ahead and remove the ID field and clear out the idea field temporarily. Next, scroll all the way down to where we originally set things up in the spreadsheet. Take that same idea, drag it back into the correct field. Then, remove the caption and the reduction fields. Change the status to Done and delete the environment prompt as well. Back at the top, drag in the final video URL into the final output field. Once that's all set, click Test. If you run into this issue, don't worry. It just means the workflow is trying to pull data from the first spreadsheet, which is still pinned, the quick fix. Make sure all the other nodes are pinned, then unpin that first spreadsheet node. Once that's done, test the workflow again, and it should run smoothly. Alright, one more hiccup. This happens because the node is pretty far back in the workflow, so it's not clear which specific item it should be referencing. The simple fix? Change item to first, then run it again. That should clear things up and get everything working as expected. And when you head over to your spreadsheet, you'll see a fresh new entry, complete with your final output video URL. And there you have it. You've just built a workflow that cranks out minute-long videos ready to post on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. And yes, you can start monetizing them right away. Now, before we wrap up, there are just a few final steps. You'll need to configure those wait nodes to give each part of the workflow enough time to finish processing. Here's how to do it. Click on each wait node and set the number of seconds based on what it's waiting for. For images, set it to around 3 minutes, or 180 seconds. For video, which takes a bit longer, go with 10 minutes, or 600 seconds. For sounds, same as images, 3 minutes, or 180 seconds. And for sequencing the final video, 4 minutes, or 240 seconds should do the trick. You can also rename each wait node so it's clear what it's for, like wait for images, or wait for sounds. Once that's done, unpin the data by selecting everything and pressing P. If you've got your scheduled trigger set to run every hour, this workflow will automatically generate a fresh idea, create prompts, produce the images, video, and audio, and stitch everything together into one ready-to-post video. Pretty cool, right? This skill you've just picked up wouldn't be complete without understanding the business potential behind it. Take a look at the account example we shared. They're pulling in millions of views per video. And on TikTok, creators typically earn around 50 cents for every 1,000 views through the Creator Fund. So yeah, those numbers can add up fast. With the right content and consistency, this isn't just a fun workflow. It could actually become a solid revenue stream. Now, let's be conservative for a second. Say instead of 1 million views, you get just 50,000 views per video. With the TikTok Creator Fund paying around 50 cents per 1,000 views, that's still about $25 in revenue. Now, compare that to your cost, roughly $3 per video if you're using the standard AI settings. That leaves you with a solid margin of about $22 per video. That's roughly an 88% profit margin, which is actually quite high for any business. What makes this especially exciting is that these low production costs are only possible because of AI. Just like we saw with cloud storage, the internet, and even electricity, prices go down over time. Most of the AI models we're using are still less than a year old. As competition grows and more open source options emerge, costs will likely drop even further. So now that you've learned this skill, you're perfectly positioned to ride that trend and scale as the tech improves. And one last thing to keep in mind. You're not just making content, you're building a brand. If you check out the comments on similar AI-generated content, most viewers are totally fine with it being AI as long as it's labeled clearly. People still enjoy and find value in the content, whether it's made by a person or a machine. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you found this helpful or it sparked some ideas for your own automation journey, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps more productivity enthusiasts discover these time-saving techniques. Until next time, keep automating the boring stuff. I'll see you in the next video.